Are you ready to go for a walk with me? I invite you to join me in my old neighborhood where I used to live, and you can walk with me while I talk about what I see, and hopefully you'll learn some useful vocabulary along the way. Hi, I'm Vanessa from speakenglishwithvanessa.com, and like always, I invite you to download the free PDF worksheet with all of today's important vocabulary, expressions, definitions, sample sentences, and at the bottom of the worksheet, you can answer Vanessa's challenge question so that you never forget what you've learned. You can click on the link in the description to download that free PDF worksheet today. All right, are you ready to get started to go on our walk? We're just going to go and see what happens. So here we are. Well, we are here with my baby. We are here in a downtown neighborhood of Asheville, North Carolina. And the only thing you can see right now is probably this gigantic retaining wall. And on the other side are some grocery stores. And on this side, there are some houses. It's kind of a busy area. Usually here people will park on the street. If you can see that here, people park on the street because they might have a garage, but a lot of people just have driveways. So you can see up here as we walk by, there are some driveways, there's some obstacles in the road. My husband Dan is recording this and he's trying to not fall over. So you can see here, there are some driveways, but usually downtown people don't have garages, so they park on the streets. We call this street parking. Oh, look at this lovely mural. I love you. Yes, I think my city, Asheville, is kind of known for art, known for some other types of music on the street, these types of things, but where we are is a neighborhood and not where people are playing music on the streets. So let's keep going down this street. Actually, what I would like to do is, I'd like to cut across the street in just a moment, but let's keep going down here. The sidewalk is nice and big, so Dan doesn't fall on his face. These people over here, were our old neighbors, and they used to have, talking about music, they used to play music on their lawn out front, and just the neighbors would come over and listen. It's quite nice. Do you remember this house? They're always doing construction on it. Always new construction. They painted it like 4 different times, and it looks like they're still painting it. I don't know if anyone actually lives there, but it certainly seems like an expensive endeavor. All right, we are coming to the end of the sidewalk. Let's see if we can cross the street. We'll go past the old apartment building we used to live in, and you will see one of the most exciting houses in all of Asheville, in my opinion. So let's see if we can cross the street.
There she goes.
All right, let's go over here. We're going to go down the street away from the grocery stores, and this is a lovely apartment complex. This is where we used to live. We don't live there anymore. In the US, a lot of apartment buildings are new, as in they were built within the last 30 or 40 years, but this building is over 100 years old. I think the 1920s, which for the US is pretty old. All right, are you ready for something very exciting? It is coming up right here. Some might call this an eclectic house. This is where a guy named Jesse used to live. When we lived in this apartment building, I'd come down here and he was always sitting on his front porch around his most precious possessions. Do you know what these lovely things are called? Wind chimes. So wind chimes have those little metal poles and they clang and dangle in the wind. Well, when people heard that he liked wind chimes, he started collecting so many of them that now the entire front is covered with wind chimes. I think it's pretty exciting. It's not what I would want at my house, but I think it's pretty exciting. And it's kind of one of those things that gives your city a little bit of excitement and flair, right? Because as we walk, let's talk about it. Woo! So I want to tell you about the 2 different types of people that live in Asheville. One are the people who have lived here forever, like Jesse. They have these older style houses. And the second are people like this. who build either a fancy, gigantic new house and they've moved from somewhere else. And you know what? For us, I haven't lived in Asheville forever, so I'm technically part of the second group. We moved here. We are not Asheville natives, but you know what? It's something that is our new home. This is where we live now. So there's still some empty lots. I guess nobody lives here in this special lot at the moment. But there's other houses. These houses have probably been here for a while. And because it's the middle of winter, there's scraggly grass. Nothing's very green. Well, there's some green grass, I guess, depending on your perspective. In the US, we have these big trash bins that we use to collect trash and recycling. And on certain days, the trash collector will come and you wheel them. We use that verb to wheel. We wheel the bin to the road and the trash collector comes and dumps it into the back of the trash or recycling bin. We never sort recycling in North Carolina. It's just everything in one recycling bin. Glass, paper, anything like that. It's all just in one spot. Oh, you have to look over here and see this amazing tree. Isn't this tree so cool? Has this giant bulbous, I think it's probably not healthy because of that giant bulb, I'm not sure, but this tree is so magnificent, especially in the springtime with all of the leaves. And I love that it's on the hillside. So cool. I love those little things in a city. All right, let's go down here. We are actually going to cross the street here. Now there's no street crossing, so we're gonna have to just be careful. Maybe technically it's jaywalking, but in the US people don't care. I just have to be careful that nobody hits my baby. Let's take a look. No one's coming. Let's go. Oh. So here we're going to go down the street and cross what's called 5 Points. This is the 5 Points neighborhood in Asheville. And that means there's 5 different roads going into it. And we are going to attempt to cross the street without Dan smashing himself and recording at the same time. Let's give it
how hard this is.
Let's give it a try. Gotta push the button. I don't actually know which one goes where. I think this one is for here. I just pushed both of them. And we're going to cross the street, but we have to wait for the hand to turn green, or the little walking man to be over there. All right, I always try to look even though the signal says it's okay. In the US, we always do right, left, right. At least that's what I was taught as a kid. Right, left, right. Right now we're walking along Broadway, which is one of the main streets. Wow, do you hear that hawk? I love hearing falcons, birds of prey. It's always so exciting. So we are headed towards the greenway. And the greenway is an area that has no houses on either side. It's just a public, almost like a park, but it's just a sidewalk going straight through a natural area. So we are walking down one of the main streets in order to get to that greenway. Let's go. All right, before we cross the street and go into the greenway, I wanted to show you this lovely iron fence. Back here is a little creek, and the neighborhood behind me is called Montford. It's one of the historic neighborhoods of Asheville. There's a lot of big older houses. And when I say older, I mean older for the US. If you're from Europe and there's houses from the 1300s, well, it's not that old here. But for the US, it's old, and I feel like the US doesn't really do a good job of preserving historical places. So when there are historical places to see in the US, it's kind of special. All right, let's cross the street and go to the greenway. There is indeed a little crosswalk here, so hopefully it's okay. And this area, a lot of people jog here. I used to go for a run here when we lived in this neighborhood. It is really popular for walking dogs, just for going for a walk. But there is one thing that probably I wouldn't go here after dark still. That might just be my own personal preference, but it does feel a little bit like there might be sketchiness after dark. So I generally try to just do those types of things, especially where you're not near other people. Like, this is somewhat isolated, especially other parts of the greenway. You're kind of isolated from the neighborhoods and whatnot. I don't really want to be there after dark alone or with my baby, but in the daytime, this is a great place to go for a walk. Well, thanks so much for going on this quick walk with me through a little bit of a neighborhood in Asheville and also a little bit on the greenway, some urban areas, some more natural areas. And I want to know for you, do you live in the city or do you live in the country? We used to live in the city, now we live a little bit more in the country, but it's always nice to visit both. So thank you so much for learning English with me, and don't forget to download the free PDF worksheet with all of this wonderful going for a walk vocabulary, these natural phrases that come up along the way as you're having a conversation. You can click on the link in the description to download that free PDF worksheet today. Well, thanks so much for learning English with me, and thanks for going for a walk with me, Matilda. Thanks, Dan, for risking your life walking backwards to film this. And I hope to see you again next Friday for a new lesson here on my YouTube channel. Bye. But wait, do you want more? I recommend watching this video next, where you will join me in the garden, some more natural space outside, and you'll learn some important expressions for talking about vegetables and flowers that are doing well and some that aren't doing so well. I hope to see you in that video.